Welcome to Newswatch tonight. Thank you for making time for us. My name is Melissa Oduor. On the sign language is Boniface Mureithi, and Newswatch begins now. President William Ruto has urged farmers and entrepreneurs to exploit opportunities in value addition in order to extract maximum value in their products. Speaking when he officially opened this year's Nairobi Trade Fair, Ruto said value addition will improve their incomes and create jobs for the youth. The president said the government has adopted reforms in the agricultural and livestock sectors aimed at attaining the country's economic transformation. And as our reporter Alfred Sei reports, various leaders, among them Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, welcomed the president in his first ASK show as president and led him as he toured various stands at the showground.
Protecting our foreign exchange and insulating us from vulnerability to international price shocks. At the same time, we remain most globally competitive in agriculture, both in traditional crops like tea, coffee, cut flowers, and vegetables, as well as emerging export crops such as macadamia and avocado. This means that transforming agricultural activity will turn around our balance of trade through increased exports. It is the reason why, as the Governor of Nairobi said, we are expanding the footprints of markets across Kenya. Apart from the markets we are building in the city of Nairobi, we are building another 400 markets in rural areas in Kenya and 47 county aggregation and industrial parks. This will serve as outlets for our farmers. And these facilities will not only have storage, it will also have cold rooms. It will also have value addition infrastructure. And it will also have common user facilities for people in the space of agro-processing and value addition, so that we can not only create jobs, we can also add value to our products, increase incomes for our farmers, and eliminate wastage. Because when we provide storage and cold rooms, we eliminate post-harvest losses that come as a result of wastage that accompanies infrastructure that is not sufficient for our farmers to use to protect themselves from unnecessary losses.
Thank you, Alfred, for that report. Now, the Estate Agents Registration Board is demanding that the Real Estate Regulation Bill 2023 be redrafted. According to the EARB Board Chair Eunice Masharia, the real estate agents in the country are already regulated under the Estate Agents Cap 533, hence there is no vacuum. The bill, which is sponsored by Trans Nzoia Senator Alan Chesang, intends to streamline the industry, which is currently faced with an upsurge of unscrupulous individuals. Now, under the regulation, real estate agents will be required not to facilitate the sale or rental of any parcel of land, apartment, or building in the real estate project which is not registered in accordance with the Act. Our very own Kennedy Kimani with more on that story.
Exactly 2 weeks after the Real Estate Regulation Bill 2023 was published in the Kenya Gazette, the Estate Agents Registration Board has today come out publicly demanding that the whole bill be redrafted to concentrate on regulating property developers and land buying companies and leave the regulation of the agent as currently contained in the Estate Agents Act Cap 533. According to the EARB board chair Eunice Masharia, the board was not engaged during the drafting of the bill.
There is potential for inefficiency in jointly regulating the real estate agents and property developers. The process of regulating the two calls for different processes and consideration, and imposing a one-size-fits-all regulatory framework will terribly fail. The board therefore strongly recommends that the proposed bill should be redrafted to concentrate on regulating developers and land buying companies, and the regulation of the professional real estate agent should remain as currently contained in the Estate Agents Act, Cap 533.
The board has condemned the proposal to regulate real estate agents professionals together with developers and land buying companies, terming it as awkward.
Regulating professionals have to be done by other professionals, because how will you know as a non-professional when you are brought a case of misconduct? How will you be able to take that professional through a disciplinary process?
The bill, which is sponsored by Trans Nzoia Senator Alan Chesang, intends to streamline the industry faced with unscrupulous individuals. Real estate companies will be required to be registered by the Registrar of Real Estate and licensed issued by a board of directors under the Act. Under the regulation, the real estate agents will be required not to facilitate the sale or rent of any parcel of land, apartment or building in a real estate project which is not registered in accordance with this Act.
Kwa vile imepropose kwamba estate agent na huyo developer wakuwe wanaregulatiwa kwa bill moja, hiyo sio sawa. Juu estate agency ni profession. Ni profession ya kwamba mwenye anafanya estate agents anaenda shule kusomea hii kazi ya estate agency. Developer anahitaji tu pesa. Akiwa na pesa atapata shamba, anunue, agawe, auze.
Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has said ongoing reforms in the tea subsector have recorded improvements in a span of 6 months, with farmers earning more bonuses. According to Gachagua, the improvement is as a result of direct engagement with farmers and stakeholders in the sector. Gachagua said the government is committed to working with the directors in the distribution of subsidized fertilizer in a bid to ease the cost of production in the tea farms. Gloria Musimbi with more.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has met directors of the Kenya Tea Development Agency KTDA to review strides made in the tea sector.
We have the other board member.
Gachagua announced that the sector had recorded improvements with farmers earning more bonuses. In this year's bonuses, Gitugi factory in Nyeri will pay the highest at 57 shillings per kilogram, followed by Menti in Meru paying 52 shillings per kilo, and Michimikuru and Meru paying 47 shillings per kilo. Momulti factory in Kericho was also recognized for consistency higher pay to farmers. Nyankoba factory in Nyamira paying 35 shillings per kilo recorded the most improved pay in this year. Speaking when he hosted KTDA directors representing the factories at his official residence in Karen, Gachagua said the implementation of reforms offered a direct positive impact to the farmer, who is at the bottom of the socio-economic pyramid.
We are proud that within 6 months of our reforms, we are restoring sanity and stabilizing the tea subsector as envisioned under the Kenya Kwanza plan of putting more money in the pocket of the tea farmer.
He challenged KTDA to expand its markets internationally to ward off competition from other tea-producing countries and cushion farmers from probable shocks in the global markets.
The representative of our Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture.
He said the government will work with the directors in the distribution of subsidized fertilizers in a bid to ease the cost of production in the tea farms.
Tea is one of the crops that will assist us in increasing the foreign exchange reserves. Tea contributes about 2% to our GDP and 4% to the agricultural GDP. It earns an approximately 120 billion Kenya shillings in exports, translating to about 26% in foreign exchange.
The DP also said the array of court cases in which KTDA is entangled in are having a negative impact on farmers' earnings, challenging them to do away with them sooner.
Cost of 50 kg bag of fertilizer was 7,000. We have been able to avail in the last season to farmers at 3,500, and this season we are doing it at 2,500. And again, we are going to work with KTDA to see how we partner in that program of subsidizing fertilizer with a view of lifting the burden off from the tea farmer. Court cases are not good for anybody. Anybody who takes you to court is not your friend. Iko mambo mawili inamaliza familia: ugonjwa na kesi, si ndio? Yeah. So unajua sisi watu tulikuwa tunatuwekelea makesi ya uongo kutuumiza bure kwa sababu ya msimamo wetu. These cases between former directors and the present ones, we talked in Kericho, lawyers from both sides waongee, we see whether we can have a win-win situation, and I think I want to come in now.
Reporting for TV News Watch, I'm Gloria Musimbi.
Another good report now: the tourism industry in the country is on the path to full recovery. This follows improved performance this year after a 2-year slump occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. According to Tourism Research Institute acting CEO David Gitonga, tremendous progress had been made, and by the end of 2022, the country was at 73% recovery towards the best year numbers of 2019. Speaking during a meeting with hospitality industry players in Embu, Gitonga said that by the end of June this year, the industry was at 92% recovery from the COVID-19 crisis. Alice Diana with more details.
Marking World Tourism Day today, the tourism sector is reportedly on the path to full recovery from the shocks of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. During a meeting with the hospitality industry players in Embu County, Tourism Research Institute acting CEO David Gitonga said by the end of June this year, the industry was at 92% recovery from the COVID-19 crisis. He said given the projections, all indications are that by the end of the year, the industry should rebound to the 2019 figures, if not better. In the 2019 reference year, government data shows that Kenya received 1.35 million tourists, with the Tourism Research Institute saying earnings could by the end of the year surpass the 2019 figures if the industry maintains the same high growth trajectory.
By the end of 2022, we were at 73% recovery. By the end of June this year, when I talk of recovery, I'm talking of recovery towards the best year numbers of 2019. By the end of June this year, we were at 92% recovery in terms of going back to the best year numbers. So we are making very good recovery, and we are confident, like our cabinet secretary has been saying, that by the end of this year, we should be somewhere around the 2019 figures, if not beyond.
Gitonga has encouraged players in the hospitality industry to embrace ecotourism as an alternative venture to the traditional bed and breakfast business as the government starts putting in place modalities on the carbon credit market.
And the climate change conference, the African Climate Summit was a good eye-opener. It was a good platform for the African countries to share their experience, because the challenges we are facing in terms of carbon markets are the same challenges the other African governments are facing. But I'm sure once we get, and I know there's good progress from the area of the government and the ministry responsible for that. Once we get there, we will be able to, it will be one of the ways to mitigate against human-wildlife conflict, because it could create other revenue streams for communities that are responsible for conserving our natural areas.
Kenya Tourism Board KTB head of corporate communications Wausi Walia said tourism must continue being viewed as an economic activity geared towards improving livelihoods of the community. She noted that the private sector was one of those key platforms that provide the infrastructure for tourism to thrive.
The private sector is one of those platforms. It's actually the key platform that provides infrastructure for tourism to thrive. They own the hotels, they own the aircrafts, they own the restaurants, they own the bars. They own every other infrastructure that tourism then grows. And so we are here to interact with them, to give them information that is helpful and that makes their businesses easier in terms of the various mandates that we are in.
On her part, Kenya Tourism Federation official Susan Ongalo said there was a need for all private sector players under the umbrella of Kenya Tourism Federations to speak in one voice to improve ease of doing business and grow the sector in the country.
Mchango haswa wa Kenya Tourism Federation na private sector, tukiangalia sisi ndio ambao tunayo ile product. Kwa hivyo tunaweza sema hata tukiangalia nambari watalii ambao walifanya kuja nchini mwaka jana, tulikuwa tunatoka pale kwa COVID. Kama hatungeongelelea jambo la tourism tukiwa kwa chini ya umbrella na kuambia serikali leteni facilitation ambayo itawezesha watalii watoke kule wanatoka wakiwa na confidence ya kuja nchini. Kwa hivyo kama hatungefanya hivyo, hatungeweza kupata zile nambari milioni 2 na kupita juu.
Alice Diana, Hope TV News Watch.
Thank you, Alice, for that report. We head to the corridors of justice now. A Nairobi court has allowed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to detain a 16-year-old minor alleged to have murdered Nairobi Hospital Finance Director Eric Maigo in cold blood. The state sought for 21 days to allow police to conclude investigations. The 16-year-old was arrested on Tuesday in Kibra area in Nairobi County. In a miscellaneous application, the police said that the minor is believed to have violently attacked Maigo on the 15th of this month, resulting to his death. The investigation officer further said that key witnesses are yet to record statements and take DNA samples for analysis at the government chemist. The lawyer representing Maigo's family informed the court that the family needs justice given the fact that media coverage of the murder seems to pursue a narrative that Maigo met his death in circumstances which are not morally acceptable.
Investigation is a very serious one. There is need to have investigations conducted properly. And for this reason, I will allow the application by the investigating officer to hold the suspect for 21 days and she be taken to hospital for treatment. We mentioned this matter before this court on the 18th of October.
Also, we need to take her fingerprints, despite the fact that she is claiming to be a minor, but to get an expert report on that. Investigation is still ongoing, and releasing her will jeopardize the investigation since she is a person who doesn't stay at the same place, always shifting. And at Kibera, most of the shanties are temporary.
And the hearing of the murder case against Safari Rally driver Maxine Wahome proceeded today with Assad Khan's neighbor telling the court that Maxine was a victim of gender-based violence as she and Assad could fight from time to time. Chemutai Kipkorir told the court that on December 12, 2022, she was in the house when she heard commotion from Assad's house and a woman's cry. She, however, said she did not get out of the house to try and intervene, but instead used her house intercom to call the security guard. Now, when the guard came, she went ahead and called the emergency 911 number, and the Kileleshwa Association chairman, who went into Assad's house and came out and retrieved the rally driver's body, which was covered in blood. Maxine was arrested in December 2022 for the alleged assault on Assad, who was her boyfriend, but he later succumbed to the injuries he sustained. Now, in March this year, she was charged with the murder of Assad, but denied the murder charges, maintaining that she is innocent and that Assad died as a result of self-inflicted injuries. The case proceeds in court. We're taking our first short break here on Hope TV News Watch. More news coming up shortly. Don't go too far. it is viable, tick.
Yes.
It is profitable, tick.
Yes.
It has potential of becoming a scalable idea, tick. So what should I do?
Now, it takes a thought process. It really is a thought process. Yes, even, let me just go backwards, even before we go to scalability. It is viable. Has it optimized the space of being viable, even before you get to profitability? You can actually, how do you know it's viable? You know it's viable when people out there show you or tell you that they like what you have, it meets their needs, and they're willing to pay for it. All right? And this information will help you to identify what's the right price point, how do I reach these people, what is the size? Okay. If 100 people have told you that they're willing to pay for it, and it's something that they purchase only once, then it's not viable. Because you need a continuous income stream. So you went, you sold, and that was it. And then you come back again with maybe another 300, but only 100 people are ready to pay for it. That's not viable.
But this is me thinking, I have seen people who started even little businesses, I can call them small. Maybe your friends in college perhaps wanted handbags.
Yeah.
And so this is you going into that space and saying, I'm going to supply handbags, because they're thinking, maybe it's a viable business idea.
Yeah.
Pursue it.
Yeah.
So then how can I determine that this is truly what I need to do? Considering handbags are not things that you want to buy every day. You probably buy one and that will serve the purpose and that's it.
And the thing about the handbags is, if you're going to buy them, either have a wide network of people that you know, or have a very strong referral system, or be in a place where either let your handbags be so unique that everybody wants to have them. You may have started in college out of a dire need of, I need pocket money, I need school fees, and it will serve you for that amount of time. But as your needs grow, you may need to pivot and change into something else. So the $1 million question is, why handbags? Why not earrings? Why not jewelry? Why not perfume? Why handbags? So those are the questions that we interrogate, and we help you in the process of nurturing you. We're going to interrogate that question and say, what have you found out? There's a place for market research. What is the need for handbags? Why this specific handbags?
I think we'll dwell on that question on market research a bit more. So how much of market research at Synapis, what do you think? How much of market research should I do?
At Synapis, we have created or curated programs to help you think through your business, whether it's an idea or an established business, depending on the need on the ground. And in these programs, there are tools and guidelines that take you through, right? So depending on where you are, the kind of market research that you're going to do at idea stage may be different from the kind of market research that you're doing for market expansion or geographical expansion. So at the different levels, there are different tools. And so, I don't know if you guess what I'm getting at, but I'm telling you that entrepreneurship is a thought process. It's an intentional thought process. It's not just something that you stumble into. What is it that makes us think that I can just go into this without giving it much thought? And that's why many people find themselves in traps. And people get depressed. Maybe one of the most depressed category of people are entrepreneurs, because you realize it's not as easy as it looked. There was a process to follow that maybe wasn't followed. But then the other thing is that it gets lonely and you're misunderstood. And if you are those people who had a job and decided to leave the job to go into entrepreneurship, when things get thick, your friends tell you, this is why people don't leave employment. So you're castigated and maybe even shamed, you know? So it's not an easy journey. So a lot of people, it's almost like there's a set of courage that is needed for you to step out, to go into that space and really understand what's happening.
An entrepreneur is still thinking after the thought process. They are stuck at, where do I get capital to start this business that I am passionate about?
I'm going to ask you to Google the top need of entrepreneurs. You can start in Kenya, you can start globally. Just go ask Mr. or Miss Google or whoever they are to tell you. At the same time, try talking to every entrepreneur you know. Top of mind, they'll tell you, my biggest need is money. If only I had money.
Yes.
And the belief is that money is going to
It's
solve
going to answer all the questions.
It doesn't. It doesn't. 2 years ago, there was a company called Kune. They got $1 million pre-seed capital, and they said they were going to change making affordable food possible here in Kenya. They closed down. They had money. And that's just one example. There are many others that have been pumped with money and still didn't make it. The top need for entrepreneurs is access to knowledge. But the $1 million question is, who are the people who get financing? Because the people who get financing.
Yeah.
The people who get financing are people or entrepreneurs or business owners who have a compelling narrative and they convince, are you going to put money in a place that is going to, are you going to put debt capital? And especially for banks and lending institutions, these are depositors' money. So they have to take their due diligence.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship and integrity. So a comment you made earlier on, and it just caught me that in the space where faith entrepreneurs are operating in, they are facing a lot of challenges because some of the market practices are not favorable to our faith.
Exactly.
Hence the need for certain networks and linkages that can help them to remain integral and faithful to the faith that they profess in. Let's speak about that a bit so that those of us who are also, Christians and want to practice sound business principles and practices are able to operate and feel, they're in a safe space.
One of the things that you're told is you can't be a Christian and do clean business in Kenya. And what does that mean? That because it's interesting, Kenya is a paradox because you look at our data and we're told we're 80-something% Christian. At the same, Transparency International come and say we are on the top 5 of the most corrupt countries. So what does that mean? It almost seems like we have a Sunday Christian mentality because the people who are going to church on Sunday, maybe that Sunday is the day to be Christian.
Yeah.
And then Monday to the Saturday, I can give bribes because what has been seen as a normal is giving bribes, giving kickbacks. And this is not easy. Unfortunately, corruption is like a cancer. And it looks like such a big dragon to slay. But we believe that if you will run your business from the conviction that this is something that God has given me, then the question that we ask is, why not trust God to walk you through these difficult points? A lot of people, when it comes to money, we put God aside, especially when we have it, right? But when we don't have it, that's when we're going to pray and fast for the miracles of provision. But when he gives it to us, we put him aside. When it comes to money, we don't seek God's thoughts on money. Yet in Deuteronomy, he's the one who says that I am the one who will teach you how to make wealth.
Thank you so much for some of those insights. I think we will continue this conversation a bit more in a later time, where we will look at some of those integrity, how to navigate the integrity terrain. It's a difficult one. How to, navigate it, and some of those linkages and some of the success stories of what it is that they're doing in these networks that is beneficial to them. Some of the practical examples of what they're doing so that entrepreneurs in that space can know, when I'm faced with this kind of a challenge, this is how I can navigate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Yvette, for having us. You have any parting shot I'll allow you to say?
It is my pleasure. I am excited. Look, if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching this program, I just want to ask, have you invested in yourself? And would you like to join a community of entrepreneurs who will help you and walk with you as you actualize your dream and take your business to the next level? Would you like to have tools that would engage you and help you understand what you're doing well or what you can do better? Keep take a moment and think about that. And if you're interested, I'm sure Melissa will let you know channels in which, ways in which we can help you to get there. Thank you very much. It's been a joy and it's been a delight being a part of this.
For Lessons from the Entrepreneur, my name is Melissa Oduor. Have a good night.
In order to keep hope alive in the airwaves, Hope Media has a couple of initiatives. Friends of Hope. Friends of Hope is you and I forming a team of well-wishers and volunteers who give in cash and kind to support in spreading the gospel at Hope Media. Currently, Hope Media is running a campaign under Friends of Hope dubbed 100 for 1. Through the campaign, Hope Media is asking Hope FM and Hope TV listeners and viewers to give just 100 shillings in order to reach one more soul with the message of hope and the gospel. Engage with us on our social media platforms at Hope FM Live and at Hope TV Kenya. Kuwa rafiki mso leo.
Look at sports now. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania have won the hosting rights.
Looking for a soulful way to start your day? Join us at Hope Media for a worship experience dubbed Come Let's Worship. This Thursday, September 28th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., we are gathering at the Dennis White Hall in Sitam Valley Road for incredible moments of live worship. We've got an amazing lineup of ministering artists, including Abedingoso, Masilina, Ali Mukwana, and Bire the vocalist. Mark your calendar and invite a friend. It's a day of worship you don't want to miss. So come, let's worship this Thursday, 28th September from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Entry is absolutely free.
Apologies for that technical hitch. Now, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania have won the hosting rights to the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations that will be jointly hosted by the East African nations, while Morocco will host the 2025 edition. The East African nations beat Egypt, Senegal, Botswana, and Algeria, who withdrew from the race 2 days before the official announcement to hosting rights. This means that Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania have automatically qualified for the 2027 edition as hosts. President William Ruto has expressed delight at the win, favoring the 3 East Africa community countries.
Can the Vice President stand up as well? Okay. So the country that EXCO has voted for to host the AFCON 2027 is well, we have to show, okay?
That is the joint bid.
Kudos to Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the national women's soccer team Harambee Starlets is set to take on Botswana in the second round of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON qualifiers in November. After beating Cameroon 4-3 on penalties last evening at the Nyayo National Stadium, the Starlets won the reverse fixture 1-0. courtesy of Cynthia Shilwatso's 75th minute well-taken strike to take the tie to penalties, where Bildino Demba coach side prevailed. Botswana beat Gabon 10-1 on aggregate to set a date with the Starlets in what will be a mouth-watering encounter. That's how we wrap up Newswatch tonight. Many thanks for your invaluable company throughout this newscast. My name is Melissa Oduor. Boniface Morethi has been on the sign language tonight. Have a good night.